My name is Angela Miller. The channel is Expanded Understanding, where we aim to expand your understanding as a woman on any level, whatever level you are at. This includes you. And the purpose of this is to bring us all together because the same issues affect us time and time again. So welcome to the show. Thanks for listening. Wherever you are, if you're joining us from the past, present or future, we are going to provide you with new ways of looking at yourself, what that means to your journey, and how you can improve the issues that affect all of our lives, because they all follow a similar stream of pattern. We all tend to go through the same things, but from a slightly different perspective, or a really polarized perspective, or variations of. But we are literally all in this together. So thank you, Aaron and Zach, for hosting me here. This is really wonderful. It's a pleasure to be here to connect with you all in this moment. And tonight on Women's Work, we have a special guest joining us this evening, and her name is Yvonne Jevons. She is from Edinburgh, and I would say that Yvonne is one of the best healers, practitioners that I have ever met in my life, and I stand by. She is one of the best healers in this country, and probably about the only one I'd let put hands on me. So she's going to be joining us this evening. But first, before we get started and Yvonne arrives, just take a deep breath. Slowly into the heart. Breathe and relax. Breathe and relax. Coming to you. Be you, authentic you. Be yourself in this moment. Allow your heart to relax amidst the stress and propaganda that is projected to you. Letting go of those projections from those that you interact with. Breathe again. A deep, long, slow belly breath. And out. Connect with womb. Breathe in. And out. And just allow everything to soften. Allow the impacts from a negative dream space, especially last night. If you are doing things in the unseen world of energy exchange, in the dream world, let those impacts go from last night in particular. Just highlight them because it was strong for many women, as many changes have taken place overnight. The wars took place, the battle of dark and light affected every soul on this planet, as there was massive shifting and clearing going on. Breathe into those last night's memories. And let go. Because you've started again. You will start again. Breathe and let go. Hello, Yvonne Jevon.
Hello.
Hello, nice to see you.
Listening.
Oh, it's a pleasure to have you on. I was just explaining to the audience that I think that you're one of the most experienced, hyperkinetic, wonderful, amazing healing practitioners that Britain has to offer. And I stand
Really?
Wow. I do. I absolutely do. And
wow. Okay.
So we're going to be having some amazing discussions because we've got quite a bit of a history. We've worked on the planet together for a very, very long eon, or 4, 5 billion.
Yeah.
Feels like it. So I know that this discussion will enlighten, inform. Would you like to give people that are listening your background?
Oh gosh, where do I start, Angela? Yeah, my background. Well, I started off as a reflexologist and aromatherapist in, let me think now, I was training sort of 1998, 1999, something like that. And I got into complementary therapies because of my own personal experience of abuse within the marriage and all sorts of issues going on with that. And I found massage and things basically was starting to nurture myself in ways that I hadn't before. So I started off doing that, which led on to energy work, trained in a bit of Reiki, and basically my journey's kind of started from there. And, it's been, well, as you know, Angela, it's been a bit of an eclectic journey, shall we say.
Eclectic, like it.
Yeah, full of very different stuff. But actually, do you know something? The more you talk to people who are wakening up within themselves, that it's not unlike, what other people have experienced. But I mean, it's 1999. Gosh, it's over 20 years, since I started doing this kind of work. It's been challenging at times. However, it has really helped me cope with life on planet Earth, in various different ways, learning how to use essential oils to help myself, help my children, that kind of thing. It's been very, very different. Certainly very different to what I was doing before. I started off life doing a bit of nursing, and then went into the Royal Air Force in the UK. So it's sort of, to me, it's come full circle from very much a healing, core that I didn't even know I possessed. Through repairing fighter aircraft, insane, then coming back full circle. Oh, you're healing. What did you used to do before? Well, I used to fix fighter aircraft. You did, really? It's a bit bonkers.
I love that. I so love that.
It's a
the
bizarre
contrast.
It's a bizarre thing. I mean, I obviously clearly had to learn something whilst I was in the armed forces as a female, doing a very much a man's job.
Yes.
But I learned a lot from it. Some of the things, I have to say, touch wood and touch head, I wouldn't ever wish to repeat again. But we've been there, done it, and So I don't consider myself a healer. I don't know what to consider myself. I haven't for a long time, because you just are who you are, and when other people point out, how they see you, it's actually completely different. You see yourself, and how you sort of wander through life going, geez, I'm not sure I'm navigating this terribly well. But actually, it's quite useful to have somebody else's viewpoint of you mirrored back to you. For you to appreciate what you've come through, what you've lived through, and the true gifts that you actually have. I think that's really, really important. And I know it's certainly something I've been personally dealing with, particularly over the last sort of 2.5 to 3 years. So does that answer your question, my dear?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
One of the things I'm quite fascinated with is that you are a full Arcturian.
I don't know if I'm a full one.
Well,
a full one. Yeah. I'm never very sure. People say, "Oh, you're Arcturian." I think I'm an eclectic mix of a lot of things with an Arcturian core. Is how I would probably describe myself. And people go, "Oh, Arcturian." You go, "Yeah, well, that has its own delights to bring to the planet."
To our listeners, please. This will be great.
The delights of Arcturianism, perfectionism. Somebody said to me once that you ask an Arcturian to do something and it'll get done. Absolutely. Absolutely.
And you have faith in it. 150%, no messing.
Yeah, it's like your entirety is in that project. And I think for me, the downside of that is that your entirety goes into that and you're not looking after you. And that's been my experience of Arcturians. My father was an Arcturian, and yeah, absolutely. And taking care of the self is something that Arcturians actually, from my experience, don't do terribly well. And it's something we're here to learn about being in the physical and human experience as an Arcturian from another dimension, another planet. And being in the physical body is challenging for a lot of people from all sorts of different planets. But certainly for Arcturians, for whatever reason, I don't really know why, being in the human physical body on the Earth is the most challenging thing for an Arcturian. It is way up there. Other planets don't seem to have much of an issue, certainly not on Arcturus. You come to planet Earth, it's just like, oh my word, it just seems part of our makeup, or I'm not really very sure, but we seem to really struggle with the human experience, and in the physical body. But yeah, I think that's why there's quite a few of us here to change that, and hopefully make things better for the future, Arcturians that are coming, because I think there's a lot coming.
Yeah, I'm getting chills when you speak to me, but getting chills, simultaneous chills, is not something that we shy at. Because I know I can really feel tangibly what beautiful magic is being created in this moment, on air, live, throughout the ethers. Okay. There's a real signal that's gone out here. But a positive one, as you know, positive.
Yes, I do hope so. Yeah, do hope so.
Yeah. So what were the things that you found fascinating as your intuitive skills began to open up, coming away from the military?
I'm not sure I'd use the word fascinating. It scared the living daylights out of me, to be quite honest. I had a very, a very intense awakening. All sorts of different things. I was quite accident prone. Had quite a few accidents and head injuries, which actually opened up my third eye way before I was ready to deal with it. And I started to see things with my third eye that I couldn't compute, just could not compute, what was going on. Didn't realize I also had control over what I could see. So for me, it was a very it was a very challenging time, because I actually thought I was going bonkers, because who do you talk to going, actually, do you know, I can see it, yeah.
I
Really?
remember
Okay,
those
here's a straight,
conversations.
yeah, here's a straight jacket. And yeah, it's, yeah. So looking back on it, I can see now those moments of opening. Living through it, it felt more like a tornado with me inside it going, geez, do you know, what do I do with all of this? So yeah, hindsight, as they say, is a wonderful thing, and a really wonderful thing. Yeah.
Apparently.
Yeah, apparently, yeah. Well, do you know, it helps change our perceptions, and I think knowing what I went through, at least I'm happy to share my experience in the hope that it helps somebody else not go through such an intense experience. You know, if nothing else, talk to somebody about, you know, what you're experiencing, because there's a lot more people out there experiencing this awakening process, or awakening to who they are themselves, awakening and realizing, well, we're actually not a human being, you know, it's just a physical frame for an energy body that's come in. And there's a lot more out there nowadays than certainly there was when I was having my explosion into the energy world. Yeah, and I wish there was a lot more about at the time, for me, but there wasn't. So hey ho, you know, there's a lot more now. I'm really grateful for that, for people.
Yeah, yeah, I can fully relate to that.
Mm, mm.
There was no shared network, and you did keep your
No,
mouth shut because you could be carted off for saying the things that you'd say. You know,
absolutely.
especially when it
Yeah.
came to clients and sessions,
Mm,
actually
absolutely.
explaining to somebody
Yeah.
without, you know, I mean, obviously they're going to get it because they're part of that relating the story to you and you're helping them to shine light on it.
Yes. Yes. Absolutely. I think as well, you know, with some of the clients that I have worked with, especially in the very, very early days when I really hadn't got a clue, you know, and you got to remember, you know, I'm no spring chicken. So, you know, when my awakening was going on, there was no mobile phones, there was no internet. Do you know what I mean? It was, or if there was, I certainly wasn't, you know, using it and didn't know how to find things out. Um, so yeah, I think with clients as well, they really helped with my awakening, you know, actually seeing an angelic being coming into the room when you're just doing a little bit of reflexology, thinking to yourself, whoa, okay, well, I think that's a
Hello.
good thing. So, okay, let's just go with it. Yeah, yeah, it was a baptism by fire, basically. You know, through that healing process. And you know, maybe that's just the way that I needed to have it. You know, I needed to maybe explore that myself and not have somebody else's massive inputs and things. It certainly sparked an interest in, right, what's going on? Are there any books on this that I can read, to help enlighten myself? You know, because you get to a point where you realize, well, actually, no, I'm not mad, and just because I can see stuff does not mean that I should be locked up anywhere, because there is energy around, and people, you know, lots of people can see it. Lots of people can see the good, bad, the indifferent, the ugly, the beautiful. Do you know, everybody is capable of seeing that. Um, so yeah, I think it's for me, it's helping people understand that actually this is normal and it's okay. Because when I was awakening, you know, my ex-husband, he wasn't into any of this at all. Didn't even like reflexology, aromatherapy, that kind of stuff. And I think it frightened the living daylights out of him. And he just wasn't a very open person. So I didn't have him to sort of talk to about it, which was a bit of a shame. But hey ho, it is what it is, you know. Um, yeah. So as you know, Angela, you know, people come into your life to help you open up and to help you understand, you know, and just to help you along in that journey. And sometimes it can be the most, you know, it can be people that they'd be the last person you would think would actually have something to share about this energetic and etheric and awakening, you know, of the energetic being. I'm very grateful to each person who's dropped a little bit in my pond that rippled and, you know, and set things in motion. Yeah.
Beautiful, beautiful. So I'm just going to send this etheric message out to Zach. Zach, you know that meditation? I'm just lurking in the background. He did say I could do it, so maybe I should do it and then see, and then it'll play through this mic.
Okay.
So I'm just going to prepare. This is Yvonne's Oh, bless you, you're there. Yay! This is an Arcturian. Meet Auntie Arcturian. Auntie Yvonne, meet nephew Zach. Zach. Sorry. Be precise. Okay, so we're just going to
tight clothing.
This is Yvonne's clearing meditation. So please do sit back and enjoy this. This is going to be quite powerful. There's going to feel like energy's moving off you, and you might get chills. I'm going to pay attention in the chat to see how you're all feeling about that and feedback. Love you all. Your aunties are here. Okay, thanks, Zach. I'll shut up. Just going through, I believe.
Okay.
Loosen any tight clothing. Make yourself comfortable. You can be lying down or you can be sitting with your feet resting flat on the floor.
Stop your
arms in a comfortable position. Breathe in and release the breath, allowing any stress or tension to release as you breathe out. Gently raise your shoulders and allow them to drop. Do this 3 or 4 times. Imagine that you are breathing in pure white light and breathing out any negativity, any being transmuted, releasing safely and gently throughout the visualization. You may have images, body sensations or feelings during the visualization as we work with the chakras. This is okay, just acknowledge these and let them go. Chakras are ideally bright and vibrant, moving easily, but can be muddy and less vibrant, slow or sluggish, and can have darker patches within them. These are areas of negativity stored in the chakras from worries, emotions, or anxieties, and these create blockages to our energy flow. Due to the stresses and experiences of everyday life, we collect and store, and this affects our energy systems. Hence why it is an excellent practice to cleanse your chakras and aura daily, clearing out anything that has affected us. Breathing in pure light, breathing out any negativity. Each chakra has 7 layers within it, each working with the aura. 7 levels within each layer. The chakras rotate clockwise and anti-clockwise and can be likened to a Catherine wheel, rotating to ensure good flow of energy around the body. As we cleanse and clear our chakras, we are cleansing every level and layer. Take your awareness to your base chakra at the base of the spine, represented by the colour red. This chakra faces downwards. You may see or simply have a sense of the chakra. Focus on this chakra and imagine it like a swirling ball of fire, or if it is easier, like a tin of paint or a bowl of icing that you are looking down on. Imagine whichever works best for you. You don't have to see for this visualization to work. Simply focus on the chakra. As we breathe into this red ball of fire, it rotates, whichever direction feels right for you. Have a sense if it turns smoothly or if it is restricted. Chakra, the heart chakra, located in the centre of the chest, front and back of the body, represented by the colour green, or it can be pink. Have a sense of the flow of this chakra, if it is easy and natural or a little restricted. Breathe into this green ball of fire. Allow the energy to flow. Is there a difference between the front and back of this chakra? The heart chakra is deeply affected by relationship issues, loss and grief. Keep turning. All is coming off the heart and being transmuted into pure light. Keep turning until the energy is flowing and moving easily, the ball of fire burning brightly. Breathing in and out, allowing the energy to flow. We now move to the next chakra, the throat chakra at the front and back of the body, represented by the colour blue, a sky blue colour. Turn the blue ball of fire, turn the energy. Does it feel easy and natural, or perhaps restricted? Is it muddy or bright? It may be smaller or larger than the other chakras. Keep turning, breathing into this sky blue ball of fire. This chakra is related to how we express ourselves, and often we hold back our words or might be in oppressive situations, and this can cause the chakra to become blocked and not flow easily. Keep turning the ball of fire. Allow the energy to flow. Is it shining brighter as you turn? We now move to the next chakra, the ear chakras, represented by the colour red-violet. These chakras work in conjunction with the throat and third eye. Look down on the ear chakras. Are they even, or is one bigger than the other? turn the red-violet ball of fire for each ear chakra. Have a sense if they move freely or if they're a bit sluggish. Keep turning. Ear chakras can be affected and damaged by our environment or by things we have heard that upset us. Allow yourself to release all that no longer serves as the balls of fire are turned and the energy flow returns.
So, wow, I hope that you're all back with us in this moment of presence. Just coming back, grounding in, allowing yourself to be at peace with the universe, peace with yourself, peace with all beings. So I'm just going, that was beautiful. That was really amazing. Yvonne, that was just gorgeous.
Sorry, I'm having real troubles with the microphone, Angela. I'm really not hearing what's being said now.
Okay, is your mute button okay? Are you there?
Yeah, I'm here, but it's really staticky and it's very, it keeps stopping. So I can't actually hear, I get a little bit and then I can't hear the rest of what you're saying.
Okay, what Zach has suggested is that you exit and try rejoining.
Okay, dokie.
It
Right,
might just.
so I'll see you in a moment, hopefully.
Yeah, yeah. So to all those that were just watching this, gosh, I've got a really shiny forehead. Just noticed that. Definitely felt blockages move from sacral heart, healer, throat, big one in ear. And yes, it's true. We can often forget that we have ear chakras. It's not something really is talked about. I've never really heard it. But it's literally those sounds that you've heard, the arguments, the abuse. It's like, no. So you can often, if a child is shouted at, you'll hear them see them do this because they're covering themselves from that energy coming in. And that is, the purpose of that. So I'm glad that you all got something out of that. I will talk about that with Yvonne when she comes back on, and she can offer some further insights into that. I'm just going to check here. Sam Beatty, looking after yourself and being kind to yourself has been showing itself to me so many times recently. It's true, and that's a really good thing. It's paying attention to your needs as a woman, what you need to do for you to feel good about being here, and managing life and children and jobs and expectations that we live by as women, especially when there are other beings involved, partners and so on. So who have we got? I'm just going to do a quick run through. Hello, Andrew Sly. I love you. I think you're great. Sam Beatty as well. Carla too. Hello, Carla. Hello to me. Yeah. So let me just check there. Okay. Yvonne will be coming back in shortly. So really, if you had a nice experience, please do say share your experience in the chat room there, or in the comments as they come up, or on any comment. That would be hello. There you are. Is that you back, Madeleine?
I'm back.
Hey.
Yeah, it
She's back.
seems to be okay
Yeah.
now. Yeah.
Yeah. So we had a comment in the chat room there, and Carla. Now Carla is an uber expansive woman, right? And she's really on it in many ways. She's in Texas, I believe, or
Okay.
from Texas.
Yeah.
She says that, hold on, definitely felt blockages move from sacral heart, healer heart, throat, and the big one in the ear. And I was just sort of talking about that, the ears. Can you talk about that?
Can I talk about the ears? What shall I say about the ears? Yeah, hugely connected with throat issues. He, you know, and you know the things. If you just imagine when we're watching stuff on the telly or listening to the radio of like news reports and things, you know, what we actually are subjected to in just daily life, you know, I'm not talking about abuse or anything like that, just daily stuff that maybe just doesn't gel with you, and those chakras are just going to get blocked. You know, because you're not wanting to hear those elements, you don't want to take those on board. You know, and I suppose, you know, the more you look at what you've listened to or what you've maybe been subjected to in your life, you know, even just people, you know, I find even if when we used to be able to go out shopping, many months ago, that I can remember there was a lady absolutely screaming at her child, and honestly, I felt like my ears were bleeding because of the level of just screaming that she was doing, you know, that what just wasn't necessary at all in that situation. You know, and yeah, it's just really challenging when you're really, really sensitive, and especially if you have hypersensitive ears. I do. You know, part of the Arcturian thing, you know, is communication. You know, we have very different communication abilities to a lot of people. You know, my dad and used to say to me, he says, you know, he says, you've got ears like a shite hawk, excuse my language, but
No,
that's
we're
what
all
my
right.
dad, you know, he says,
It's like a
is it
shite.
all right? Yeah, I can hear a pin drop, and yeah, do you know when you've got that level of sensitivity that you can hear, and it's not about being hyper alert. I just have really, really super hearing. Yeah, things can jangle you very, very easily. So, you know, for me, you know, when I started working with the chakras, that'd be about just over 10 years ago, when I really appreciated what they actually did for us, you know, and I'm still learning. I don't know all the stuff about chakras and things, but you know, the more you clear them, obviously you're clearing out the impacts that you've had, you're clearing out any discordant energies that's in there, gunk, sludge, you know, whatever it is, however it's been taken on, you know, you're just clearing it out. So if you clear the ear chakras, obviously the throat chakra, the third eye chakra, all the chakras are actually going to improve. You know, the more you work on these, and it's a very, very simple thing to do. I think for me, you know, you're talking about the ear chakras. I think for me, working because of what I'd experienced as a female and just as a person, you know, I'd had quite a bit of abuse, you know, within the marriage, and I didn't know about chakras and things like then. And I think for me, when I started learning, you know, I had low self-esteem, you know, very little self-worth, you know, just thought I was just like diddly squat on the planet. I had nothing to give, nothing to offer. And when I started working on my back chakras, that's when things began to really, really improve for me. You know, because the back chakras, you know, that's your will centers. And I see them kind of like rockets, like rocket pack on your back. So if they're very depleted because you've no self-worth, self-esteem, that kind of thing going on, you've got nothing really to drive you forward. So for me, it was actually understanding that, you know, all the pictures that you see, you know, you've got the chakras at the front of the body, which of course get impacted. but it's what for me, it was working on those back chakras and really getting them moving and rotating to create the balance, because the front wasn't too bad. The back, they were just non-existent, you know, absolutely shut down, no drive forward or anything. So, you know, again, everybody's different. You know, everybody will have different areas of these chakras because of what's happened in this life, never mind what's happened, you know, in previous incarnations, or what they've taken on board, you know, from lineage, culture, family, you know, groups that they've been around with. You know, all these subtle and sometimes not so subtle impacts, they have such a massive effect on the energy system that it's actually quite mind-blowing, you know, when you appreciate what we are bombarded with, if you like, on a day-to-day basis. The moment that we are, from the moment that we can see, it's absolutely massive. Yeah.
Yeah. You know, what you were saying there reminds me, and maybe I can relate this in aircraft terms. It's the mechanical propulsion system of light through the back energy sensors. Would you say that is, you know, I just very got a strong visual there of
Yeah,
how
similar. You know, I see it sort of like
take off.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. And you need the drive of that. You know, it's not just the back chakras. You know, it's all of the chakras. So yeah.
Yeah. So let's just have a quick look in the chat room here. We've got some
Does
more
that help?
comments. Always nuggets, golden nuggets, dear. I felt a shift in the back of my heart chakra. This is Sam. Sacral, throat and ears, and more on the left-hand side. So why would you, what can you explain or maybe give us a perspective as to why Sam would feel more on one side than the other?
Well, it really just depends, because, you know, there's lots of reasons and explanations of what's, you know, right, left side. I was trained that the right side, you know, any impacts on the right side of the body, feet and all the rest of it, are more to do with your past, and the left about the sort of now and their future. But it could just be that there's been an injury on that side, you know, nothing to do with the past and the future and the present and all that kind of thing. And it that you know, this person has brought something back from a previous incarnation, you know, an injury, or, you know, I mean, I know I've done some clearing with my own personal, I have had lives where I have death, and I've been deaf from like explosions.
Yes.
Which affected the you know, the one side. So, and it could be anything like that. Absolutely anything. Does that make sense?
That makes perfect sense. That actually expands me to this point of, so in past lives, say for example, like when there has been you know, we're really going to go there. We have to. Is in past lives when we've had these impacts, such as explosions and deafness. Can you describe what some of those impacts can be, and what happens to a light body matrix when you receive an impact of that size and magnitude?
Okay, the sound's going on my thing again, but I think what you're asking is what would the impacts be to the energy matrix, is that right?
Yeah.
As well as the physical. Yeah.
Yes.
Well, last, you know, literally the energy matrix explodes. You know, there's very little actually left of the energy matrix because of the level of shock. And I know working with some have been some kind of explosion, or, you know, or even a you know, a fall, or like a car crash. You know, that's like an explosion. It's an explosion to the physical body. To me, it's almost like the whole energy matrix can shatter, you know, and there's bits all over the place. You know, there's so many parts of it disconnected. you know, it's very different for different people. You know, if you've got somebody who has had a number of these kind of impacts, that, you know, they're going to explode far more easily, if you like, you know, their matrix, than somebody who hasn't had that. Yeah. Although it's not always the case, but generally speaking, because it kind of knows what to do, you know, it's had that kind of explosion. So it's like, right, well, this is what happens. So if they have another experience of that, it's like a deal. This is what happens, you know, this is what we do when we get this kind of explosion or fright or an injury. It just shatters the energy matrix. You know, and until someone puts that back together, you know, it's just not functioning correctly for that individual. You know, and it can be many, many, many lives of some really severe stuff. You know, when you think we've lived, you know, just historically, you know, with the training that you and I have done, Angela, you know, the historical impacts from battles and wars, it's just like, oh, really? It's, yeah, I mean, massive. You just need to watch a war movie or something.
Oh my God. I remember the first time you worked with me,
Crazy.
right? I remember the first ever time you worked on me personally, and you pulled off this vine from my legs. And I could never figure out why I kept breaking one heel. I always break the left heel on a high heel throughout my entire life, even sane. And I can just remember the feeling. I died in a bush or something. I thought, you know, the fine details escaped me. But I can remember the visual. Yeah, it was such a long time. We're thinking. Yeah, so these things can affect us later on. I can fully relate to that comment though about the left-hand side, because it was also in that same scenario where I had a rock dropped on me as a caveman or woman. And also as a result, it just made my left side.
No, I remember that, yes. Yeah. Absolutely. And it's level of head injury, you know, and the injury to the physical body. And you know, people sort of go, you know, the past lives, they don't really matter. Well, they matter. You have had big impacts, whether that be physical, emotional, psychological, it doesn't really matter. If you've had a lot of, you know, big impacts in other lives, of course, you know, it stands to reason that you're going to bring that back with you. You know, I liken it to, you know, I was watching there was a program on the TV with what's his name, Prince William, about men and mental health. And he's trying to bring it forward with football and things. And he said something which I thought was quite interesting, that he felt a lot of the male attitude of not asking for help and, you know, not really being great communicators. He says, when you look back at the world wars, you know, the great wars, he says, you know, men came back and they were so traumatized, they did not speak about things. And he says, you can see how it's filtered through generation of not speaking about, you know, when things aren't feeling right. You know, I think it goes much, much further back than that. But I thought what he was saying was really, really useful. You know, because if you don't communicate your needs, how can you get any help? It's as simple as that.
And for women, very often it's just don't say anything, don't speak, just continue. Maybe it will be all right. And that's what, you know, at times myself, you know, when I was younger, I'd been diminished for that. Despite having an extreme fiery character, I still felt like that, you know. So for the younger generations out there,
absolutely,
the women that may experience not being able to speak or feel or just can't say what is really on their mind. Not, you know, most women can, given half a chance and a cup of tea or coffee. you know, most women can begin to talk about things. But if you're in an extremely abusive situation, you will not come out. You won't say a word. Could you talk about your experience with that?
Absolutely. And I know I've experienced that as well, where you just, you know, I think it comes from a lot of different things. Being in the military, you know, if you didn't get, especially as a female Air Force person, if you're, oh God, how can I put this? If your person in command didn't want to hear what you had to say, that there was just no point, absolutely no point. And when I was in the military, and you know, because I'm a veteran, and I've spoken to a number of veterans here in Scotland, because I go to a centre, and there's some ladies. I think there was one lady. I think she'd been in the 60s, you know, doing whatever she was doing in the army. Listening to what they had to say was very interesting. And you know, I've got a couple of people who were in the Navy, and everybody's had different experiences. And I think a lot depended on the job that they did. Because mine was an electronics technician kind of job, it was very, very male orientated. There was way more. There was very, very few females at the time in those roles. And you know, I was faced with a lot of male dominance, a lack of understanding of female needs, but also that you had to work twice as hard to prove yourself as the blokes did, because you know, oh, well, you're just a female, you know, how would you know? And it's like, well, I've just passed, that's how I know how to fix something, because you know, the training's really good. So there was a lot of what I would consider really antiquated attitudes that I had been brought up with. You know, my dad wasn't like that, even though obviously from the generation who was born in the 30s. Dad wasn't like that. He was actually quite a forward thinking man, you know, and he valued people's opinions. You know, it was quite a culture shock, you know, when I went into the forces, you know, and experienced this. Not from everybody, don't get me wrong, you know, but there was a core few who they were like little tin rods, you know, they'd worked their way through the ranks. And some of them just didn't like the fact that maybe females actually could do the job a bit better than some of the blokes. And I know with one of the things, when I first met my now ex-husband, and he was being posted to Northern Ireland, and I wanted, funnily enough, to be posted with him. You know, we were getting married, that's what I wanted to do. And I put my application in, and I wanted to work on helicopters. It was something I'd always wanted to do. And basically my application was rejected, and I found out, it was months and months later, I found out why. Because the person who was in charge of the squadron did not want any female people on his squadron, and that, end of story. It didn't matter whether they could do the job or not. So, do you know, you're faced with that. You know, if I'd been male, it wouldn't have mattered. You know, he would have just gone, yep, okay, yep, that's a candidate, yeah, that's fine. But because I was female, he just refused point blank, and they could get away with it, you know. So yeah, not particularly nice experiences, but they all add to who I am now, you know. And those experiences, you know, they're in my life. And yeah, for me, I would very much shut down my requirements because people were not listening. Because if you shouted, were put on a charge. So, you know, you were between a rock and a hard place.
Yeah.
You know, you couldn't really go and complain. In those days, there wasn't the same routes and avenues to put in a complaint. There's a hierarchy, there's a structure, end of. And I think that really rubbed off on me. And it's a long time to understand how that changed. And so you don't need to shout about your needs. You can ask to have your needs met. And a friend of mine the other day said to me, she's, well, you know, the number of times that you haven't had your needs met, she's, maybe you were just asking the wrong people. And I hadn't thought about it like that before. I thought, actually, you've got a point. You know, I thought I was asking the right people. Clearly not, because my needs weren't being met. you know, and that, I mean, I suppose that's the other thing as well. Working with some women who have been abused, like myself, is that when you ask and your needs aren't met, you tend to shut down even more. You don't shout about it because it's taken an enormous amount of courage to speak up that first time. It's massive. And if somebody doesn't actually nurture you at that moment, it's almost as if they've swatted you away, you know, and they don't know how important that moment is to that individual. You know, and I've learned it the hard way from both sides of this as well, because we're all only human at the end of the day. You know, we're just doing the best that we can. But yeah, you know, learning to actually speak your truth, shouting about it, but just being able to express what your needs are, asking for help when you really need it. Another unfortunate Arcturian trait is not asking for that help when you need it, because we're so independent and, you know, we're so capable that we think we're invincible, which is not useful.
No,
You know?
very
And
unuseful.
it's a huge thing for us to learn that actually you have to ask for help. Does that resonate, Angela?
Yeah, I can fully appreciate that. I'll just keep going until I'm dead in the water.
Yeah.
That as an aspect of me, you know, that is Arcturian. I'll just keep going. I'm building and just keep going.
Absolutely.
It's got to be solid. It's got to be right. And I have to see everything through to every stage of development, right to outcome.
Yeah.
Bloody tiring. And that's only one aspect
As
of me.
well, you know, when it is exhausting. It is. It's really, really exhausting. I think the other as well is being a mom. Well, funnily enough, you know, your children tend to come first. You know, something that you know, there's some people that I know don't seem to get this. And you're like, but you've had a child. The child has not asked you to come into the world. Do you know? You're a parent now. And funnily enough, as a woman, your child tends to come first. And where are you down the queue? More often than not, you're at the tail end of the queue. Yeah. So again, your needs met. And that's no fault of the child, of course not. You know, they're tiny little things and they have to be taken care of. But it's not till years later, I found as a mum, that you go, blimey, where was I in all of that? What happened to me?
Yeah.
And yeah, you know, I found for me, Penny, there were times that I really lost sight of myself because you're so busy on this treadmill, you know, of being a mom and keeping things tidy, working, whatever you happen to be doing, that you've lost of you as a person. And I know I've spoken to a lot of mums, young mums, who've said, oh my goodness me, yes, just having 20 minutes to myself. Oh, you know, and yeah, it's absolutely massive, especially when kids are little. They take so much of your time and you wouldn't have it any other way. However, you know, there are moments here that you have to nurture yourself, do you know? And I know I didn't, but I didn't get a lot of support. Husband worked away at the time, and you know, yeah, and the kids were very young when he bogged off. So yeah, it's been tough as a single parent because my kids are now 29 and 26. So it's been 25 years since they've been without, basically. It's been a tough old journey, but very rewarding. And yeah, I think now as they're getting older, you know, they've said to me as well, Mum, you know, you really need to look after yourself. It's like, yeah, fat chance I had before because you were only little. So yeah, you have to look after the self. It's really important. Yeah, really important.
Yeah. So I'm going to shift the perspective of conversation to, oh gosh, we've got quite a few comments here on that. Sam is saying that it makes a lot of sense to her what you've said. She feels she has a lot of past life traumas, weaker on her left-hand side. and feeling unheard has been something that she's become aware of. But also holding her tongue because she's been shouted over,
Okay.
which is mansplaining to the extreme. If it's by man or woman,
Yeah.
before I fully express what I feel, and I feel from what you said, they cut her off, cutting off the edge of the sentence. She's working on this right now because she's finally recognised it. That's amazing. That's an amazing jump to have that level of recognition, self-recognition. This is the work. It's beautiful.
Yeah.
And she's saying she's very stubborn and independent.
It is. It's the self-recognition, and good for her. Yeah. I think as well with the you know the as you grow and develop, certainly as you know, as I've got older, you do see things differently compared to 20, 30 years ago. And I think as well, from what I could pick up from that, like I say, the sound's not great, Angela, but from what I can pick up from that, yeah, when you get belittled, humiliated, shamed, blamed, any guilt, anything that takes you down, yeah, you're not going to express from here. I know I did a workshop with Diana Cooper and Tim Wilde a few weeks ago. I can't remember what it was called now, and they were talking about the throat chakra. And it was something I hadn't actually thought about. And what they were saying was that it is the main chakra that interacts with our human experience, because we verbalize things, most people anyway, all the time. It's how you interact with your world every single day, whether it's on the phone, to your kids, to your family, whatever it happens to be. It's massive how you express. And I was in total agreement with what they were saying, that the whole vibration of the throat, the voice, how you use the words you use, the tone, the emotion behind them, all have an impact on the receiver. Whether that's also yourself, if you're talking negatively, to yourself, calling yourself names because you've forgotten to do something or whatever. Again, it's absolutely massive with the throat area. I personally feel it needs a lot more recognition and work than people perhaps give it credit for. Having this throat area cleared up.
It's true. As you were saying that, excuse me, I'll clear my throat. The voice box, a slang term for the larynx, is voice box. So it stands to reason that the box, the internal flight recorder, sorry to bring it back to aircraft again, the internal flight recorder is recording all information pertaining to the journey and preserving it in our light body matrixes. It's all triangulated.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's fascinating how it ties in from, the ear chakra clearing to the throat.
Absolutely. I think as well, if you think of your aura, outside of yourself and its multiple layers, you're speaking through your aura as well. So whatever vibration coming out of your voice box, out of your throat, out of your mouth is impacting somebody, that's constantly affecting yourself.
Can you repeat that last sentence?
I was just saying that, even if you're somebody else, because it's going through your own aura. So, no matter how you say anything, it's affecting your energy matrix.
Yes. Absolutely so true. And thank you for just shining light on that area. It's really, really interesting. It really, really is. I'm just going to check back into those comments there. Carla can relate to what you said, Yvonne. She can't ever ask for help. Now, I want to talk about this because if you're a high frequency being, does an immense amount of work, you're having complete and continual intradimensional communications going on with whatever your celestial role is on the planet. It can be really hard to ask for help. I know that. Because there's very few people when you operate at high frequency consciously that you can go to get that help. I can relate to it.
Because not everybody will understand what you're asking. You know, might be question. I'll give you. Well, I met somebody at it was a reflexology workshop. Oh my word, probably be about 10 years ago-ish, something like that. And she'd been directed over me by somebody else. When Yvonne's the person that you need to speak to, so she introduced herself.
Don't speak to
and I said, "Oh, hello," and I didn't know what she was going to ask me. You know, had no clue. And all she just blurted out, she says, "I think I'm an alien. I don't think I'm from Earth." And I'm looking at her going, "No, you're probably not, sweetheart." But I'm like, why would somebody direct her to me? I was like, well, what do I know? But again, to me, it doesn't matter what somebody comes to you with, you know? Yeah. I was speaking to, I did a health fair 20 years ago now, and there was a young man who came with his carer. He was at the health fair, and he was all dressed up in ladies' gear. And I really don't have much of an issue with anybody, basically. And he was standing talking to me. He didn't know he was having huge problems with his sexuality. He just didn't know who the heck he was. And he was standing talking to me. And I said to him, I said, "Look," I said, "I'm quite a straightforward kind of person." I said, "And to be quite honest," I said, "I won't refuse anybody any treatment or care that comes to me." I said, "You could come to my practice," I said, "in a bikini and high heels." I says, "and it wouldn't bloody matter, because you are an individual. You're a being who is suffering and who needs help." And, you know, having that conversation with that man 20 odd years ago, it actually changed my whole perspective on people. He was a lovely man, just very damaged, had huge childhood sexual abuse issues, blah, 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 blah. And you knew who the heck was, you know? And obviously he was receiving such judgment from other people. And I just looked past the clothes, because the clothes just don't really matter. And I just saw somebody in pain. And again, you know, it's this ability, you know, there's a lot of people, a lot of empaths can do this. It doesn't matter how somebody presents. It's what's going on, you know, with that individual, that being. And for me, it became much more focused when I started doing sort of healing work with people, that I actually began to see, I didn't see the human being that was on my couch. I began to see the light being that was on the couch, and that's all I could see.
Yes.
And I realized it was that person that had brought them to me, wasn't the human being, the body, you know, the flesh and all the rest of it. You know, it was that light being who was, you know, in a lot of pain and a lot of suffering. You know, and it's funny, you know, to me, little images like that's what really changes things. It's not sometimes it's not the giant things, it's little snippets like that. Because I only saw that person for 3 or 4 seconds, but it was like, wow, huge realizations of you know, well, that basically I've just seen what's inside this person, but it's also what's outside this person. And it was quite mind-blowing in a way, quite mind-blowing. It certainly gave me a different perspective on people and why we're here.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I've spoken to you before, Angela, that, you know, my step-granddad, my stepdad, he was a fisherman from Eyemouth on the east coast of Scotland. He was a postman, you know, no dramatic kind of life or anything like that. He was just an ordinary bloke. But he believed in aliens, and he believed that there was all sorts of things that were going on that we couldn't actually see. And he and I used to sit on the front step of the house and have these just ridiculous, I suppose, conversations. But he gave me the insight that we're far more than what we can see, and we're far more than this physical plane. You know, it was a great gift that he gave me. He didn't have the answers. He just knew there was more. You know, it's not just about this. So yeah, I mean, I've been sort of looking at this probably since I was about 10 years old. Been a long time.
Wow, that's beautiful. So, what would you say
Yeah.
has been the most valuable learning to you as a woman this lifetime? One of them, the prize.
Me as a woman in this life.
Because of your
Blimey.
experiences that you've had, seen and unseen ones, because we're all operating multidimensionally.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know, obviously, you know, our work's not done here until we're gone. You know, so you know, if we're still here, there's still work being done. I think for me, Angela, it's certainly about the love and nurturing of the self, because I mean, I would say that's across the board for every human being on this planet, but for women, because of what we've lived through historically and the levels of change that we as females have had to bring about, you know, there's been a lot of things females have not had access to, you know, and barred from experiencing. And I think bringing it back to, you know, I have been somebody who did quite a lot of shouting and things like that. But again, I think as I grow older, I realise that the prison is often in the verbal. The power of the femininity is within the being comfortable with who you are, no matter what you've experienced. You know, and that brings with it a whole other level of love within the self. You know, don't get me wrong, I'm a work in progress here. I think for me as well, as you know, little Lucas was born, you know, 2.5 years ago ish, or just over 2 years ago, and being a grandparent for the first time, being a grandmother, it was a completely different experience than being a mum. And I could not get a handle on it at first, going, wow, I feel so different about this. What is this about, you know? And bless his little heart, you know, it's his first time here, as you know. And yeah, he's not finding it easy. It's a huge, it opened up other areas within me that I just didn't even know were there as a grandparent, you know? I'm not quite sure I can put it into words. It's just a very, very different feeling. I love both my sons to bits. I really do. This is a whole different kind of love that I'm still trying to put words to. You know, I've spoken to my mum about it because she's still with us, bless her, in her 82nd year. And
she's a dark woman, your mother.
I said to her last year, I said, you know, I'm just... Oh, she's a sharp woman. She is, honestly. Lovely. Well, quite some woman.
Spot on.
Great discernment.
Hello.
Spot on.
Hello, Mum.
But I said to her, I was beginning to understand how she felt about my children, her grandchildren, you know, because I remember saying various things, how she felt and all that. And obviously I didn't get it because I wasn't a grandparent, you know. Now I'm a grandparent, I'm really starting to get that level of love. And I think it actually, you know, when you're a grandparent, I don't know. I think it opens up another chamber in your heart or something. Do you know? It's just so different. I mean, your own children are amazing. Your first grandchild, wow. Do you know?
Wow.
Because I haven't got any more, so I don't know what it's like. Another one, haven't got a clue yet. Yeah, absolutely amazing, and it's you know, he's a little toe rag. He really is, but you know, he's a beautiful little toe rag. You know, and he just has silly moments, and you know, I think for me, see, when you're a parent, yes, you can be silly with your kids, but you've still got that level of responsibility. Ultimately, their well-being is down to you as a parent.
Mm-hmm.
As a grandparent, I can hand him back, you know, anytime. But it's not about that. It's having access to that silliness. I can be as stupid and silly as I like with him, and I like doing that a lot because it's like, whatever, you know, yeah, he gets a little telling off if he's doing something that he might hurt himself or whatever. But accessing that silliness, and you know, I've got a lot of silliness in me. It's great, you know. It's like reliving my own childhood. It's wonderful.
It's beautiful. It's maintaining the inner child within and that playfulness. It's wonderful. You know, that you bring something that
It's exactly that. It's the fun
Yeah.
and the playfulness.
Yeah, without the stress of
Yeah.
being a parent. It sounds great.
And I think that's what's missing. Oh, totally. And I know some parents do that really well, you know, with the fun and the playfulness, you know. But I think, yeah, you know, it's something that people they need to bring it back into their lives. Life's too serious as it is, you know. Life can be really tough going, and you know, without that fun and without that playfulness, yeah, you can take yourself too seriously. And I know I have many times. You just take things so serious, and you know, sometimes you wake up and you go, well, what actually happened there? Where's the fun gone? Where's the fun gone out of my life? You know, and I'm not talking about party fun and getting drunk and drugs and all that. It's the fun for your heart. I'll give you a laugh. We've been in lockdown and I hadn't seen my grandson or anything, and I was on my own. My youngest son was away to work. Nice day outside, and I opened up my my cutlery drawer to do something or other, and I've got this little tiny bottle of bubbles in there that I keep forgetting to actually give to Lucas when he's here. And I just looked at it and I thought, stuff it. I'm all way out onto my decking and I'm standing blowing bubbles on my own, giggling as if my grandson was there with me. And there's all these bubbles going up into the sky. And it was just a wonderful, silly moment, you know, and I was just chuckling to myself. And it made my heart feel so good, you know, just doing something like that, that who cares? Who cares at the end of the day? You've had a bit of fun, made you feel so much better in your heart. And, you know, to me, that's what it's all about. Because if you can access that and you really struggle to be that fun and have that fun within you, you know, life can be a drudge. It really can be a drudge. And, you know, we need to find this level. And it's not about having the, oh, I love myself and serious. You've got to have some fun in there, you know, have a lot of laughter, which you and I do a lot of.
Yeah, we do. Laughing at the system.
Laughter.
Lots of that.
We do. A lot of laughing. Yeah, I'm not sure a lot of work gets done, but there's a lot of laughing.
Oh, I don't know about that. It's disguised in laughter.
Oh, I don't know. I think there's a lot of work in laughter. Yes.
Totally, it's essential. Okay, so it's so. I'm reading comment here from Sam. It's so freeing feeling able to speak without feeling I'm being judged. Yes, it's so true about that.
Yes.
And gosh, and then Carla's saying this entire community has helped me to open up. I love you all. That's so beautiful. It's a really wonderful idea. We've got advanced high frequency beings, Aaron and Zach doing amazing things, and just holding space every night on their time zone, to just, get people to come in and talk about things. If anybody has any questions for Yvonne, please do feel free to write, and we can get them to her and ask her any question that you might have about your journey, your impacts, and so on. There's something I would like to bring up with you, though, because you speak so eloquently about this. And we know it, you and I know it, as the new kids. The ones that have come in with all these super, super high technological skills and big purpie. What? Right, this is directed for those high frequency functioning beings. How can they improve their earth experience? What can you suggest to them to do that?
Oh, just a simple question then.
Well, it's me. Oh, have to ask.
Oh dear. Yeah, I have to ask. Well, do you know what's coming to mind, Angela? You know, I've been doing a lot of work over the last sort of 6 months in particular. And for those people who don't know, I'm just going to say what I've been living through. I was diagnosed with a spinal tumor in September 2017, and had to have this tumor removed. Causing obviously huge problems to my mobility and recovery and all the rest of it. And I lost sight of what I was here to do. I just didn't want to be here. So I've been doing some work, particularly over the last 6 months, watching, because I used to watch Diana Cooper and read some of her stuff. Got back in touch with the dragons, which obviously I have worked with for a long time. And I also, do you know how things come to you, in roundabout ways? And I will get back to, I'm still coming back to the question here. And I got watching this lady called Sue Morter, who's an American lady who does like body awake yoga. Not that I can do any of that, trust me, I just do little bits of what I can. But she's got videos and things out, and one of the biggest things for me is making sure you're in your body. Because when I was diagnosed in 2017, I didn't realise how much I left my body and stayed out, because I couldn't deal with what the diagnosis, what it meant, because of all sorts of other reasons, that I won't go into just at the minute. Mm-hmm. So I've been using her central channel breathing. And to be quite honest, it's been really, really helping enormously. Now, I've got other techniques, for staying in your body and all the rest of it. But this, for me anyway, has been really, really useful. It's very similar to Qigong and that kind of stuff, which I've done kind of previously. And basically, if you want to have a good earth experience, you've got to be in the body. Yeah, you have to be present to be able to make the changes, to be able to have the life that you want. Now, following her and listening to some of the things that she said, there was two tiny little phrases that actually, in some respects, knocked me on my backside. Really, really did. And one of the first things she said was, big beings take on big projects. And I sat and I heard her saying that, and she repeated it over and over and over on this little video that I was watching. And it's almost like she was boring into your eyes, you need to understand this. Big beings take on big projects. And it wasn't till that moment that I realised what a big project I had taken on by having this tumour. And it blew me away, absolutely blew me away. it gave me a completely different perspective, you know, on what it was all about. Because I'd been a very angry bunny. I didn't understand. I just, you know, basically life just went completely pear-shaped. So that really, really made a big difference to me, starting to appreciate all the things. And I've had snippets of it before, Angela. You and I have discussed things, and sometimes you get like a little whiff of something that is really huge, big life lesson, soul lesson, or whatever it is. And then it seems to go, you know, it doesn't seem to sort of sit for very long. That phrase that she said sat with me for days. And I sobbed my heart out because I suddenly realized that this was part of my agenda. I have a lot of learning within this experience. You know, a lot of that is patience with my own personal healing, the physical healing, you know, obviously the mental trauma from it all, you know, really scary time.
Yeah.
You know, and a lot of self-forgiveness and a lot of self-nurturing has been going on. And I think the biggest thing is about the self-nurturing, because if you don't nurture yourself, yes, there's loads of people out there who are going to nurture you, but it has to start with you. You know, and that's been a massive lesson. And I knew this before, but not at the depths that I know now. And the other thing that she said, just to sort of on the back of that, was that every moment of every day, you wake up in the morning and you make this choice, that the universe works in my favour. And at first I was like, what does she mean by that? Hang on a minute, what, you know, and it was the way she said it was quite flippant. I'm like, what does she mean by that? And again, and she went on to explain it, and you know how much the universe is supporting you, and it totally linked in with the big beings take on big projects. So it's like, you know, this event has happened within my life. Lots of reasons why I didn't cope with it terribly well, although, you know, doctors keep saying to me, you're doing totally amazing. In my world, I'm not doing totally amazing because I still can't walk properly, you know. I've had falls, as you know, had more injuries, blah, blah, blah. But it is improving, you know. It's a massive, massive project of nurturing the self and being very grateful for sometimes minute things in your life. It's almost like starting from the ground up of the level of gratitude for, you know, when you get up, you're actually able to put one foot in front of the other, because let's put it bluntly, there's lots of people can't. I'm grateful that, you know, that the tumor was benign, so I didn't have to have any cancer treatment or anything like that. So there's a whole package of learning for me. Look at this, and I've looked at it for over the last 2.5 years thinking, you know, geez, you know, what positive could be in this? What I looked upon as a totally hellish experience. You know, it's been very painful, very uncomfortable, and very frustrating because I can't do what I was able to do, obviously, beforehand. Very limited on what I can do. But within that, I have had to relearn how I look at things, how I look at my own life. And my God, I've had to ask for help in big ways, even getting something out of a cupboard that I can't reach to now because, you know, I'm still waiting on adaptations and stuff. Incredibly frustrating because I could reach that cupboard before that I can't reach now. So we're taking it right down to base level human needs, human physical needs, you know. But within that, I felt useless. You know, I know you and I have spoken about this before, Angela, that, you know, I felt, well, do you know, what's life about? You know, if I can't do these things that I did before that I really enjoyed doing, simple things like gardening, I can't do anymore, you know, because of the physical effort that is required. But actually, I can do a lot as an energy being. So even if, God forbid, I had been stuck in a wheelchair, I could still do stuff. You know, my life isn't over, but that's how I perceived it. And I think for me, yeah, it's been massive, massive lessons in appreciating every tiny little nuance of my life. Then sometimes that you don't have to be, you know, a massive game changer, you know, about like, you know, like, I don't know, big CEO of a company, or, you know, the president, or, you know, whatever. You don't have to be that big person in the spotlight. You know, you are a very valuable individual working in the earth team of humanity, you know, and every single person, every single being, animal, whatever it is, has a part to play. You know, it's absolutely huge. So how to make the most of your human life? Well, for me, I think that is very much soul driven, and that when human experiences happen, that the soul decides that you're going to have, it's how you deal with it. You know, and I've been hard on myself, Angela. I felt I hadn't dealt very well with this event. Actually, you know, I could have started drinking. I could have started doing drugs. I could have done all sorts of things that were incredibly damaging. What I did do was give myself a really hard time, which is damaging enough in itself. But that's on the turnaround, you know. And it makes you go within, you know, and I think going within to do the personal work is what makes your human experience valuable. You know, no matter how you manage to do that, you know, doing your inner work, you know, getting rid of all the excuse me, the impacts, you know, that cause you to be less than you are, because, you know, everybody comes from light. It doesn't matter where you've ended up and how you've ended up there. Every single individual comes from light. And that's something I think that everybody has to hold on to, is that, you know, no matter what's happened and how you feel about things, ultimately you are of light. Otherwise you wouldn't be here, you know. Does that make sense?
That makes perfect sense. That's beautiful. Okay, so you mentioned, we talked about this earlier. You had a guided process, a little journey for our listeners. That process of being
Oh,
grounded.
the grounding visualization. Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. So do you want me to just go into that?
Yeah, yeah. I'm just going to mute my mic and stop
Okay.
my cam, so it will be you there doing
Okay.
that.
Yeah. Okay, dokie. No problem. Excuse me, but I'll just take a wee drink of water. Too much talking, Angela.
Always good, love.
Okay, so
Always good.
so sitting or lying comfortably, just close your eyes and begin to take slow breaths into your lungs, filling your chest and feeling your abdomen expanding on the in-breath. See yourself walking along a wide country pathway. The sun is out and there is a gentle breeze rustling in the trees and foliage beside the path. The scent of the flowers and trees is so wonderful, it makes you smile. All sorts of scents mingling and entering your senses. Such a simple pleasure, yet one which assists healing and relaxation. There are butterflies here and there, and you can hear the sound of birds nearby. You come to a clearing where a giant tree stands, its trunk wide and sturdy, the bark a wonderful texture and colour. It stands tall and solid, welcoming you to stand beneath it and look up into the leaves and branches. Some of the branches are gnarled and twisted, some have been broken
and are forming new growth. You breathe in the aroma around the tree, various scents from the tree as well as the surrounding flowers, bushes and the ground. Your senses are heightened by the smells around you. You can see some of the ancient roots of the tree slightly above the ground and become aware the roots spread out for some distance, supporting the tree in the ground, as well as feeding water and nutrients to the tree from the earth. The branches reach out into the air, the leaves gathering light and moisture from above to support and nurture the tree. The leaves dancing in the gentle breeze. The peace in this place is like nothing you have ever experienced before. There is no traffic or bustle of a city. No one else is there. You start to become aware of the bustle of nature. The birds and other creatures going about their business in the undergrowth and bushes nearby. This place is busy, yet peaceful. You decide to lean against the tree, feeling the bark against your body. Slowly you begin to feel the presence of the tree. Its roots are stretching out so far and interconnecting with the roots of other trees and plants. You start to feel this mighty tree in all its wonder. It is so grounded and connected to the earth. Its roots deep into the earth to ensure it grows and stands firm. As you lean against the tree, relaxing with each in-breath, feel pure white light bathing you. As the light fills your body, see roots coming from your feet and down into the ground. Push these roots deeper and deeper into the earth, feeling the solid foundation for yourself as you do so. How does the tree and earth feel to you? Can you feel that connectedness to the surrounding trees and bushes? Feel their peace and tranquility. Feel their place in the world, each doing their part. Feel their support for one another in this giant ecosystem of planet Earth. Feel their support for you in this moment as you relax and breathe light into your body. Feel the areas of tension or stress that has been held within you begin to melt and dissolve with each in-breath. Breathe deeply into your body, seeing the breath as pure light and nourishment for your cells. Breathe the white light into your heart center, in the center of your chest, and imagine within this heart center is a flower with petals. As you breathe this pure light into your heart center, see the petals begin to flourish and grow and multiply. This light is opening and transforming your heart. With each in-breath, the petals grow stronger. They open and unfurl. As the petals grow and increase, see yourself as a tiny seedling just beginning to sprout from the ground. Its tiny leaves seeking the light which will transform and nourish its growth. Seeking the warmth of the sunlight and the moisture from the elements to swell the cells and give new growth and expansion to its tiny form. As you breathe in the white light, feel this tiny seedling begin to grow stronger and taller as it accepts all nutrients, all support from its surroundings. Its leaves and branches beginning to grow, the roots going deeper into the ground. With every in-breath, you grow stronger. With each weather change, you shed leaves and some branches. Feel yourself shedding all the old leaves and branches. The old leaves and branches being gently swept away, giving way for new growth and expansion. Give yourself permission for this to happen, allowing the old to fall away. Once the old has fallen away, begin to see tiny buds on the branches. Each bud a beautiful new part of you, coming out into the sunshine to share its beauty with the world. It matters not whether the branches are straight or if the leaves are the right colour. This tree has grown from a spark of life within you into the tiniest seedling and transformed into something that has been created from all that it has experienced. Look at the tree you have grown into. Now golden light beams into the tree, filling every part of it from the tips of the branches and leaves to the tips of the roots. Feel yourself, feel the tree bathing in this golden light. See the radiance of the light coming from your heart petals begin to shine out from the entire tree. As it continues to grow and develop, see the magnificence of the energy around the tree. Feel the connections to all the other trees and plants. Feel the acceptance of all that this tree is, all that this tree represents. Breathing deeply into the heart. Feeling yourself bathed with golden light. Expanded. Just start to move your fingers and toes. Only when you feel ready, open your eyes and bring your attention back into your space and just be very gentle with yourself. You've been in a very deep space.
That was beautiful.
How's everybody doing?
Let's just have a look there in the chat. Beautiful. I feel so present and engaged personally.
Yeah. Well, it was a beautiful visualization that I got through
good few months ago now, and actually the dragons who gave me this to connect with the nature, and you don't have to be outside to be able to connect with it. You know, I've had some really good feedback from people that I've tried it with, you know, saying that it made them feel really calm and a lot more in the body. So fantastic.
Brilliant. That's just beautiful. I think that the people in the chat room are really resonating with your story. You know, embodiment.
Okay.
Carla's saying, I resonate so much with your story. I had a cervical disc removed, and that journey was extremely difficult, but it led to where we are now. You know, and the challenges that we face to interact normally with bodily function on a day-to-day basis, people have no idea
Absolutely. Yeah.
you, and that your story is so powerful.
Yeah. It is. It's
beautiful,
I
right?
mean, I'm not alone in what I've experienced, but it's, yeah, I think, you know, when your physical abilities are removed for whatever reason and at whatever level, you know, the basic necessities, it really brings it home to you, you know, of of what we take for granted. So anything that you can get back, you know, get that back a bit more balanced and have more ability, is fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. Well, I'm glad it resonates, and, you know, maybe it'll help other people as well.
Yes, it will. And, you know, I invite people to listen again to the meditations here. That, you know, if you need a little top up, you can come back here. Yvonne will come back, I'm sure, because it's just been fabulous. How can people get hold of you if they need to, or would like to, or feel inspired to do so?
Well, I've got an email address. I don't have a website because, you know, I had one of those years ago and it didn't really, you know, do much at all. But
Are you on Facebook?
you know, I'm on Facebook, so people can message me. So I mean, that's the easiest way. Or I've got an email address, which is the rainbowfeet58@gmail.com. You know, that's the best way to get in touch with me. So, you know, drop me a little email. Or on Facebook or something. Yeah, that's about my limit
And you do
of
sessions for
communication
people
on
as
the
well?
on.
Yeah.
Yes, I do.
And
You know, it depends what people what they need, and obviously, you know, across the miles, and you know, with people not in the room, obviously there is, you can't do everything that you could do with a person that, you know, with hands on. But you know, we can still do a lot with people, even though, you know, we're social distancing, and so I can do quite a lot with people as well, with
I
clearing
would
and
say,
helping things shift for them.
I would say, like actually moving galaxies. And you know, I'm sure that the digital arena does not stop the impact of what you do at quantum level. Really, really, on quantum level, you are just, you know, you're a powerhouse, an absolute powerhouse.
Well, thank you for saying that, darling.
You're an amazing
I've just
person.
drawn a dragon card for the group, okay, and that's what I've drawn. Can you see that?
What is it? Green gold dragon from Sirius. Wow.
Mm. So this is brings universal knowledge to your spiritual pathway.
Yeah.
These are Diana Cooper's cards, and sometimes there can be good messages. These dragons are awesome, guys. Get with these dragons.
Whoa. Whoa. Ooh, I felt that. Woo.
Just ask them in.
Yeah, thanks, dragon. You like my left-hand side of my body.
I love them. Yeah.
Let's
There's
go.
loads of them.
Don't need
there's loads of them coming onto the planet to help us. So fantastic. Yeah.
Absolutely. And that indicates we've reached a certain level of consciousness here for us to be able to receive them in this way. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well, absolutely, because they're very, very high dimensional. I think some of the dragons are 11th dimensional angelic beings in dragon form. So yeah, big stuff. And yeah, I mean, I've had a personal dragon for over 20 years, and thank goodness. Thank goodness,
my
he's
first
done me
dragon
proud,
experience was your dragon. Yeah.
What was it with a little Dominic, who's not so little anymore?
No. Yeah, we had fun.
Yeah.
We went far. Yeah,
absolutely. Yes, Dominic's awesome.
Yeah, I will always treasure that memory. It's just so, it's in my body. I remember it's very physical. So I'm just going to suggest to any listener, please click like, subscribe, share more comments, pass it around, share the benefits with our brothers and sisters so that we all may expand our consciousness and get to our own 0 point journey within, open up to our fullest capabilities as beings here on the planet. Do come and visit Women's Work International on Facebook. We're going to be providing guides and programs and all sorts of wonderful things. And I just hope that my teenager downstairs, I just hope that they will remember that I'm up here. So please come and look at Women's Work International. Mother, why do they not know? I'm sure I said. Anyway,
I know, challenging, isn't it, with others in the house? Yeah,
it is. So come and support us, like us, be involved. I really want to hear from women who feel passionate about the subject of rape, and I want to hear suggestions of what you would put into a policy that can be distributed and promoted within schools as part of a stop rape protocol, set of procedures that we can all sort of begin to adhere to, so we can just draw a line under it and get rid, for God's sake. So yeah, please do come to Women's Work and suggest that. If you need to contact me, Source Frequency Healing on Facebook, Angela Miller on Facebook, or Concordia Consularis on Facebook. And I say that with a lot on my shoulders. Get off, I'm free. Honestly. So thank you. It's all going mad now. Lost the plot.
That's their sell by date, dear.
Yeah, that's it. It's done. It's done. Okay, so thank you very much, everybody, for listening. Thank you very much, Aaron and Zach, for hosting us. Aaron, and you're doing amazing, Zach, as well. Just both of you together are an invincible Arcturian unit that will go smashing through the airwaves, through all potentials, and blah, blah, blah. Anyway, I've talked too much. I've had coffee, that's why. Anyway, so thank you very much for listening. This has been Women's Work on the Expanded Understanding. And bless you all, and I love you all, and good evening to you. Thank you.